When you have a history of greatness, the real challenge starts after the finish line. When victory alone isn't enough, you chase something greater, no matter how difficult the path. On the dirt, in the sand, and beyond. The new 2024 Ridgeline Passport and Pilot, part of our most rugged trail sport lineup yet. From Honda.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. Your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And you know, whenever we get updated news, wherever it may be from, especially on a case that's been in existence for some time, we're always glad to share it with you. Turn our attention to Captain John Schaff, Morgan City Police Department. John, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Keith.
All right. I know this case has been ongoing for some 25 years now. It's wonderful that we've gotten a little more information. Tell us how we got to this point about closing this case out.
You know, with technology changing and DNA and the advancement in that field, we were able to find some evidence that we resubmitted to the crime lab to be analyzed, and we were able to identify a link to a John Willis Pittman and the involvement of Miss Amber Garcia, who was killed in October of 1998.
Wow.
And due to the evidence, we were able to link Mr. Pittman to her homicide and charge him with second-degree murder, where justice will finally be brought to her family.
Wow. And this case has been ongoing. She was found on December 25th, 1998, right? When you guys responded, right?
She was actually found on October 8th of 1998.
Okay.
He is currently serving 40-year sentence in jail for the murder of Miss Jennifer Vidal, and her body was located on December 25th of 1998, a couple months after Miss Garcia.
Wow.
We were able to arrest him on the homicide of Miss Vidal, where he pled to manslaughter in the 16th Judicial Court and sentenced to 40 years in prison.
Wow. So I appreciate the clarification there with those two different dates of October and December. But it's just so very nice that we are able to kind of see this pattern for him, and that this pattern will never be repeated, as he'll have an additional sentence on top of that 40 years.
Yeah, we're very hopeful that we're going to get a conviction in this case. This is a case over the past 25 years, 26 years that has went through a lot of hands, a lot of eyes on it. We've always collaborated with each other to see on how we could possibly solve this case. And our current detectives were able to resubmit some evidence, like I said, and we were able to get justice for Ms. Garcia, her family. They were very pleased that Ms. Garcia was never forgotten about, and we're glad to come to a resolution on this.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where they never, no matter what happens, they never really get complete closure until you know a little bit more, right? Until you get a little bit more of that clarity. And it's so nice that now we can be able to send some stuff over to Acadiana Criminalistics Lab and be able to really process that differently than we were some 25, 26 years ago. We didn't have the technology back then.
1998, that type of technology is still new and being figured out and being tested in the courts. And since then, with the updated databases and the way they test things, we were able to get a good DNA profile off of what we submitted.
Well, you know, it's interesting. This family, as time was going on and they really weren't able to kind of close out, you guys were still working. Y'all were still trying to find a way to get this case to come to closure. And so Chief Chad M. Adams certainly was very complimentary of the whole team there, huh?
Yeah, no doubt. We're very, very fulfilling on this investigation. This is something that's kind of lingered around our department for a long time and thought about by everybody. And everybody who's ever went into investigations has looked at this case. And we're just happy that we were able to come out with an arrest on it to hold who is responsible for Miss Garcia's murder.
Yeah, and so again, pictured here is the gentleman that was mentioned who had been arrested previously. So Mr. John Willis Pittman Jr. Was developed as a suspect in both of those cases. And here now he was serving 40 years of a sentence for that previous arrest. And now we may add on to that, as we were just talking about with regards to this particular case. Again, pictured here, the gentleman, Mr. John Willis Pittman Jr. And again, it's just one of those things where people have these patterns of behavior. And if we don't get these violent criminals off the street, then those things tend to repeat themselves. And this may have been the case here.
And we want to add, 26 years ago, Mr. Pittman was 18 years old and a young male, and has been locked up for the last 26 years. So, I mean, no telling what could have came out of that in the end, but that's the only two homicides that we suspect of him in this area.
Right.
We do believe that he traveled to either the Lafayette or Baton Rouge area in between December of '98 and between October and December. So we're collaborating with those agencies to look into their unsolved homicides that may have similarities to these cases, and possibly develop suspects in those. So we ask that if they are watching this and they have other information that could help us in our investigation, we'd be glad to help them out in theirs.
Well, you guys, and that's one of the things that I always commend law enforcement, especially in this area, of your excellent corroboration and collaboration with other law enforcement agencies.
Yeah, no doubt. We want to talk to all of our law enforcement partners, because us working together as one gets a lot more accomplished for each other's communities. And as long as we can help each other out, then we can complete the task to make each other's community safe.
Yeah, and again, it takes a great deal of effort, a great deal of energy, and in this case, it's taken a great deal of time. But no matter what the time may be, no matter what the effort may be, it's always comforting for us as a community. Hopefully, it brings some peace to this family who've been wondering and questioning for some 25, 26 years now about what really happened, who was it that caused the demise of their loved one, and now we have more information about that. So kudos to your team. Kudos to the new technology, being able to do that. So Captain John Sheff, we appreciate it very much. Thank you for the good news today and maybe some closure for this family.
Yeah, Keith, we met with them day before yesterday, and they were very pleased with the outcome of this, and were able to explain, because as everybody knows, not only is the victim a victim, but the family she left behind as being a mother and a daughter, they're still hurting after all these years, and now they're able to get some conclusion to what really happened.
We appreciate it so very much. All right, guys, we thank you for joining us. That'll do it for this particular segment, but don't go anywhere. A lot more right here on Bayou Time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.